So I guess the other thing, Kane, is if you look at some of the projects, I mean, Snowy Hydro, they keep getting the digger stuck and it's gone way over budget. The biggest transmission project, which is the stuff we need to get renewables into the system, has gone from 2.1 billion to 3.5 billion. So is it getting more is this not quite turning out how it was expected to?
Well, I mean, I think at the end of the day, I mean, what we're moving towards is a combination of technologies and solutions. Clearly, we need to be accelerating as much wind and solar as we can because they are, pound for pound, the lowest cost. But it's not just about renewables, it's about a combination of other technologies to support and back up renewables. It is gas, it's gas today, it'll be gas into the future. But what we haven't discussed is the role of batteries. Now, they're not going to play the complete role, but over the last 3 years, we've invested $15 billion into dozens and dozens of large-scale batteries. The cost has come down dramatically. These are being deployed at pace around the country, both at large scale, but now increasingly into people's homes and small businesses.
I don't know that I agree on it being the lowest cost. It is the lowest in terms of solar and wind coming into the system right now, but it's not a systems cost approach, right? We've got a generation cost, but it's not a systems wide cost. So I think that it's not really an honest appraisal that the government are putting forward about that, you know, that whole of system. So that's what we want to see. We need, if it was the lowest cost, then we would see coal leaving the system. We wouldn't see gas in the system. We would just see renewables. And at the moment, it's pretty heavily subsidised too. So that's why we argue you need all of these particular types of energy sources to make sure you have got the least cost approach.
So what's the sweet spot? Because the Coalition has renewables at 54. It's not a cap. We'll get into that later. Labor's a lot higher than that. Somewhere in between. Probably the higher up you get and the firming gets more expensive. You know, 100% renewable grid would be really expensive. Is that just what we're both, all sides would like to know the sweet spot, or has it become ideological on nuclear versus renewables now?
Well, that's the issue. We've made this an ideological debate as opposed to what was it supposed to be? We needed affordable, reliable, cleaner energy, and we've made it about renewables versus everything else. And that is not where we want to be. We need to get back to what was the original intent here. And first and foremost, in a situation where you've got a cost of living crisis, everybody's saying that we need cheaper energy. Business, households shouldn't be going to food banks. So we need to make sure that right now everything stays in the system and we're aiming towards something later.
Samantha won't mind if you go your hardest on this next one. So in terms of what's being put on the table, the Coalition's going pretty populist here. You know, gas for Australians, and Labor's arguably done some similar things. Is this happening because the gas industry allowed Australians at times to pay these crazy prices on what we own in Australia, and that hurts people but industry as well?
It's not. What we have seen is governments not take a decision to allow everything to remain in the system. We've now got a situation where gas was demonised over a period of time, a number of years where it was not considered appropriate to talk about the need for fossil fuels in the system, right? So that's what we've got. We've now
still a handbrake in Victoria.
It's a huge, well, it's a mess in Victoria, let's face it. So no gas exploration allowed in Victoria has caused a problem on the east coast of Australia. So it's good to see Queensland make a very pragmatic decision only recently to keep coal in the system for a longer period of time, to start gas and to...
That's the state government changing a few things there.
It is.
Were you invited into the tent on the Coalition's gas policy?
We've been working with the Coalition as we do engage with the government regularly as well.
Were you surprised at all by what was released?
The election. We were familiar with most of it, like we had been in discussion with the Coalition. We weren't aware of everything that was in the speech that night. I'm not sure all of these decisions were made well in advance, and it's not unusual that a major party might not share all the details. But if I can just comment on the issue around gas pricing, I mean, Tania's right. Like, the pressures that we're seeing and prices going up, there are a few drivers for this. Often, you know, we saw Chris Bowen and others have pointed to the war in Ukraine, but actually there are domestic pressures that are driving some of the increase in price pressures. We've got a declining field in Victoria in the Gippsland Basin. This has historically provided much of the East Coast gas. We've known for years and years that that's in steep decline. They're mature fields, they're coming off. We need to look for new sources of supply, but we've got a Victorian government that's demonised gas, that's had bans and moratoriums on exploring for gas, and has told the gas industry, you're not needed, your investment's not welcome.
Okay.
And here we are with a situation where Victoria is facing shortages.